Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel. It's episode 1 of who knows how many. Maybe I won't end up putting this on YouTube, but I figured I'd just go ahead and do it. Been watching a lot of lawn care videos, and I just thought, you know what, let me just try to go ahead and document my experience, take a little bit of what I've learned as I watch those videos, and you know, maybe those of you watching will learn a thing or two and be inspired to do the same thing. So what I'm attempting to do is basically a full yard renovation. Probably wouldn't recommend doing it if you're not too accustomed to yard work. That's why I'm starting in my backyard and leaving the front yard for maybe next year. But looking at my yard, I'll show you guys in a little bit, but just decided that there's just way too many weeds out here for me to just go ahead and try to overseed and, you know, do some weed control and things like that. Also have no idea what type of grass is in here. I'm sure it's a mix of a whole lot of different things, and thought, you know, this is just a good opportunity for me to start with a clean slate, you know, have some premium cultivars in here and just see how they do. You know, hopefully the before and afters are worth it. So stick around and appreciate the support, and you know, any advice or information or tidbits that you guys have to offer, I'm happy to learn and hear about it and interact with you guys as well. Just kind of show you my yard here. Nothing to write home about. It's quite small. I think my backyard is about 4,500 square feet, and there's a couple different ways that you can measure that. There's a lot of websites out there that you could just simply get a satellite image, just kind of plot your backyard, and it'll give you a total square foot area. So that's what I did, and it came out to about 4,500. So I'll go ahead and show you guys, you know, what I'm dealing with, and then maybe at that point you'll understand why I'm just gonna smoke everything up and start fresh. So guys, this is my lawn and kind of what I'm dealing with. As you can probably tell, there's just a whole lot of different patches of different things growing, but not too much grass, and that's obviously what I'm trying to fix. Like, you know, you'll have a couple areas where, you know, things look pretty good, but there's just so much different things in here that are mixed up that it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to try to put in some weed control and fertilizer. You know, just a couple of different things. Like, and again, I'm no expert, so feel free to correct me. Anybody watching, put in the comments. But you know, this looks like some creeping Charlie to me. You know, probably some nutsedge with these, you know, overgrown stems coming up here, have different growth rates than what you would typically see with the grass. Some of your typical weeds that you'll see, you know, on a whole lot of lawns, but really just a little bit of everything, and really not a whole lot of grass, right? So definitely you got your crabgrass throughout this whole thing, and all sorts of different things, guys. So it's kind of why I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna start fresh. I'm just gonna go ahead and, you know, invest a little bit of time into my backyard. You know, spent some quite a bit of money with updating the deck and freshening it up, but really the yard is a disaster, and so that's kind of where I'm at. Obviously overgrown, that we'll bring that down and get that tidied up, but yeah, it's, like I said, about 4,500 square feet, and you know, first step here is really just to kill what's here. Temperature wise, it's still in the mid 90s, so we're still ways away from our first frost, but you know, it's always a good idea to start early and kind of plan ahead, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So again, you know, hopefully this gave you some good insight as to why I'm doing what I'm doing, but again, it's really just a bit of a disaster here with everything that's in the yard, and I really can't make out what's what to try to, you know, target different weeds and things like that. So again, my option here is just to kind of you know, start with a clean slate. So I'm going to take you guys through the process, and again, hopefully things you know, are beneficial to you guys. Learn a little bit about what it is that I'm doing, some of the different steps, time frames, and things like that. Again, a lot of yard videos on YouTube, so plenty of folks out there that you can learn a little bit about. But you know, this is my journey. This is just some regular guy trying to take what he's heard and read online and try to apply it. So I figured if I can figure it out, then hopefully it's an inspiration for you guys to figure it out too. So like I said, guys, first step here is to apply some product to the yard to effectively kill everything. Again, if your yard is more or less okay, you only got a little bit of weeds, then probably a good pre-emergent in the fall would do you good, and maybe you want to overseed. Here in the East Coast, I kind of sit along the transition zone, kind of in Delaware, northern Delaware, but bordering Pennsylvania. So, you know, looking at a lot of those different maps of whether you're warm season grass or cool season grass, I'm sort of on the cusp of cool season grass and the transition zone. So what I do plan to do here is stick with turf type tall fescue. You know, it generally does really well in terms of battling some of the drought and heat during the middle of the summer, as well as maintaining pretty good amount of color during the winter months where it can get pretty cold. So that's kind of what the plan is. Got my seed ordered, so stay tuned for that, for the big reveal, kind of let you know how I went about choosing the grass seed that I went with. But you know, I'm excited for it to get here, but I'm still a ways away to that point. There's a lot of prep that's going to be involved to get this yard ready for seed. And like I said, step one is to go ahead with a product to take care of what's here. So this is what I'm doing. Effectively going to use a combination of two things here. So let me just show you guys what I'm working with and kind of why I went with the route that I did. Alright guys, so here's the products that I'll be using. Again, no real rhyme or reason as to why I picked these. I didn't go out and purposely buy these for this specific project. These are just things that I've had on hand whenever I go and do some spraying around mulch beds, really. I won't even call them flower beds because we haven't really had any flowers in them, but try to keep things relatively presentable. So yeah, this is really it. It's nothing too fancy, and I think you guys are pretty familiar with things that you can pick up at the big box store. So we got Roundup, which is essentially glyphosate. Again, you guys are probably familiar with it. And then also have this weed and grass killer as well. It's a concentrate, so it'll do well for different applications. Again, these are all concentrated, so you could also buy the ready-made stuff, but I do have a backpack sprayer, and so this is kind of the approach that I'm going to take. A little bit about backpack sprayers, right? So a bunch of different varieties on the market. Again, you can get the ones that you pump, but I decided to go with a battery pack backpack sprayer only because of ease of use. And I do plan to use it as well for some, you know, liquid applications, fertilizers, things of that sort. So did some research. My 4 Sons, very highly rated. You know, it's got a variable pump there as well, so you know, it's very versatile for different things that you can use it around the house and, you know, pest control and things like that. I probably won't use it to that degree, but you know, it's served me well thus far. This is really the first time I'm actually going to put it to the test here, because there's obviously quite a bit of prep work that needs to be done, and so this is step one. So again, just follow the instructions on these 2 labels. For Roundup, for example, right, so 6 fluid ounces per gallon of water, and the backpack holds 4 gallons, so quick math, that's about 24 fluid ounces that I'll throw in there. And that really, it doesn't really cover that much. I think when reading through the booklet there, it's about 300 square feet, so it's quite a bit of applications that I'll have to go through. So I'll probably start also digging into the second one, but it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, as long as things are good and dead, that's kind of really what you want to have in terms of your end result. And I will say you're probably going to need more than just one application. So that's why it's important to really time things well in advance, because it'll probably be a good 2 or 3 weeks before you actually have you know, a surface where you're going to start to get that dead debris out the way and get some fresh soil. So overall, my plan here is, again, just killing everything off And then once I do that, I will go and obviously mill things down, try to get rid of as much of the dead debris as possible. And then I plan to go across the whole yard with a Sunjoe scarifier, really tear up the yard, kind of loosen up the topsoil there. And then what I plan to do is some top dressing. So one of the things I've always wanted to do, and I've always hated when, you know, I bought this place, is that the yard is not very level. There's a couple divots here, and even when putting in the deck, they had a lot of heavy equipment back here, and you know, things were just kind of left a little sloppy. And when they seeded everything back up, because it was torn up so bad, obviously they did not use very good quality seed. So that's again the reason why I'm starting fresh here. But I do plan to scarify everything, kind of clean things up, and then top dress and do some raking here to try to level things out as much as possible. And then once I'm done there, then that'll give me a good foundation for some good seed to soil contact, which is what you want whenever you're going to reseed a whole lawn. So stay tuned for that. Again, it's going to be a process, but hopefully you'll pick up a thing or two from this whole experience of mine, and can take some inspiration away to tackle your own project. But again, I'm working on the backyard, so as you can imagine, this is also trial and error for me, but you know, we'll make it work. But again, appreciate you guys for sticking around, and I'll just give you a good montage here. All right guys, so ready to get the application going. Again, use the proper PPE. Probably should have long sleeve shirt, so don't take my recommendation. But definitely gloves and pants. It is a hot day today, so you're gonna have to bear with it if you're gonna do anything like this. It's not too windy, and it's really helpful with this one as well, because you can get really close to the ground and not have too much of that. So I'm gonna give you a little time-lapse video and hope you enjoy. Alright guys, so it's just a couple of things, just figured I'd fill you guys in. So there's a couple of things you can do when you're spraying that makes it a little bit easier and more effective. So one is using a dye, and they sell these again online. Basically it's a blue dye, or maybe they come in different colors. I have no idea, I've seen blue. And it basically just helps know where you're doing your passes so that you can get even coverage. Now for this application, I'm not trying to look for consistency here. It's not as if I'm fertilizing and I want to make sure I get equal coverage across the whole yard. It's really just meant to kill everything off. So I'm not using a dye, but I might be doing some of that when I do some liquid fertilizing and things like that. The other thing that I probably should have used, but I am not using, is a surfactant. Now, couple different things, but effectively what it does is it breaks the surface tension of the water so that the liquid attaches to the blades a lot better, and it just becomes more effective that way, and thus you have better results. So I opted against it. Probably gonna regret it here, but again, it also serves as a bit of a test to see whether it's even worth getting it for this type of use. Now if I was doing some sort of different application where it was really critical, and it was a super expensive product, for example, I probably would opt to spend the extra money on a good quality surfactant. Dawn dishwasher soap is probably good too. I've heard that people just go ahead and put some dishwasher soap, mix it in there. It kind of does the same trick, but for this, just know that I really didn't do anything else besides just, you know, mixing the concentrate with water, and that's about it. But just two different things that if you're out there spraying and you're just not sure if you're getting equal coverage, is you can use one of those dyes, and then a surfactant. You know, you can also opt to do that if you so choose. But in this case, a little thrifty here. I don't think I need it, but time will tell. We'll see what the results look like, and like I said, it's probably gonna take more than just one application for the whole thing. So keep the video going, do the last bit I have here in the corner, not a whole lot, and then I'll just kind of use up whatever I have left in the tank, and then we wait, see what happens. Alright, and that will do it for this video, guys. Like I said, it's gonna take some time for the results to start to show. Hopefully I got some good coverage there, but again, I think based off of the concentration, I might have gone a little too late. But you can always, you know, do another pass. And it's gonna take more than one application, like I had said. So next step here is really just to wait for the seed to come in. That'll be my next video, kind of give you guys the ins and outs of what I chose, how to go about choosing seed. I mean, obviously it depends on where you are in the country, whether you're in a warm season climate or cool season, for the different grass types, and also what type of grass that you want, right? So for me, turf type tall fescue seems to fit the bill. Of course, Kentucky bluegrass is always also a consideration, but for me, and knowing how much water goes into keeping that a good green color year long, I just decided that that's probably not the way that I would go, especially since I'm not on a well or anything like that. So any type of water in irrigation that I would be doing, I'd be paying for that city water to go right back into the ground. So turf type tall fescue is very drought tolerant, doesn't really need a whole lot of water, so I figured that was the way to go for me, and we'll just kind of take it from there. Again, for this particular region in the country, it's also relatively, you know, resilient to disease, but I'll go through all that in the next video to kind of give you guys some insight as to what you can do to find good quality seed and some different resources and things like that. So stay tuned for that. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing really in terms of editing, so this may or may not even make it to YouTube, but I'll probably have to do some YouTube videos on that and do some learning. But hopefully this was interesting to you guys, or at least you were able to take one or two tidbits. Any different things or products that I referenced, I'll link any of that below so that you guys can just check it out for yourselves, and you can determine whether or not, you know, that's a good product for you to use. Again, I'm not sponsored, I'm not any of that. You know, I'm just a typical guy just trying to document his journey here to do a lawn renovation based off of what I know. So we'll just kind of take it one day at a time, but I'm excited. Again, no turning back now. It's just going to take time, and this grass will hopefully die off, and then it's onto the hard part. Other consideration, I did debate whether or not to put in irrigation system. Apparently one did exist here, but while we were putting together the deck and the stone patio, some of those lines were hit, and I really don't know what the integrity of the system is, so don't plan to resurrect that, but I might try to rig something up, or who knows, but it's obviously important to keep your seed moist when you put it down, so I'll need to figure out some sort of a rig, some DIY you know, setup here where I'll just link up some sprinkler heads and some hose above ground just temporarily to make sure that the seed stayed moist and we get some successful germination out of it. But again, a lot of different ideas floating around. I'll try to put as much information as possible, so at least it's a benefit to you. But the reason why I enjoy watching some of these long videos too is just to see the before and after, and just kind of all the work and effort that goes into it. So if that's kind of also your cup of tea, then stick around, because hopefully in 2 or 3 months this backyard will look a lot different than what it does. And if not, then, you know, there goes a bunch of money down the drain. But I hope that's not the case, and that things turn out. But I'm hopeful that you'll stick around. And again, any comments or suggestions, just leave them below. I'll try to respond to everything, and I'm also open to suggestion, ideas, and thoughts. So again, thanks for sticking around this long and for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.